Before we bring on our special guest, Mr. Tyson Terry, all right, if you haven't done so yet or you have questions about the Carriker Chronicles inaugural youth football camp, K through 8th, boys and girls, autographs and T-shirts are included on July 9th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. here in Lincoln, Nebraska. You can get all your questions answered at carrikerchronicles.com. The camp will be featuring Heisman Trophy winner, College Football Hall of Famer Eric Crouch, Green Bay Packers Hall of Famer and all-time leading rusher, and two-time national champ Amon Green, yours truly as well, and more Husker legends to follow. I've got a plethora of texts out at the moment. It's going to be exciting, ladies and gentlemen. And I had somebody ask, well, there's no lineman. Well, first of all, I'm a lineman. Okay. Like, what? She's like, I don't want to sign up my kid. He's a lineman. Well, I'm a lineman. Also, there's something for everybody. If you're a beginner, somebody asked me, is this good for kids in kindergarten? Yeah. Like, the earlier you learn fundamentals, the better. Okay. So it's going to be a fun experience, an amazing experience. It's going to be high energy, high enthusiasm. But if you're someone who's been doing it for a while, hey, Amon, Eric, they played at the highest of highest levels. You want to take your game to the next level, the Carriker Chronicles football camp. All right, check it out at carrikerchronicles.com to get more information and or registered. Now, it's time to bring on our special guest. He's going to be a Nebraska defensive lineman, undefeated high school state champion, and won the state championship with a torn ACL. Mr. Tyson Terry, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Dude, I'm glorious. I'm going to ask right out the gate. Continuing to wrestle with the ACL, winning the state championship with the torn ACL. Talk to me about that decision. There had to be a decision moment. What am I going to do? And then after that moment, like, how did the knee feel while you're doing all this?
Yeah. I mean, that's what, walking off the field, I guess for me, I've kind of been through, some injuries and stuff like that. And, the first thing that came to mind, because I, heard it back in October during a game. And so first thing that was on my mind was, state wrestling, being a 4-time state champ. That's just something that I've always, dreamed of, always, worked towards for, growing up and everything like that. And so, it was a huge decision. I know that, Coach Knighton, prior to, him leaving Nebraska, he wanted me to get the surgery, but also, it was my decision, at the end of the day, but, it was a huge decision. It was kind of, we took a few weeks, just talk about it with me, my family. Cause, that, I mean, it's a big decision, ACL, you can obviously, hurt other ligaments or other tendons, in your knee. And so, I guess, the decision for that was just that I'm never going to get this chance back, being a 4-time state champ in wrestling in high school. And so, at the end of the day, it was just, I met with a few different doctors, got their opinions, and kind of came down to, got to one doctor that actually was tied, had ties with Nebraska and their athletic, team. And so, we did a month of rehab. And so, at first I was like, man, I really don't know if I'll be able to wrestle. But, as we started doing rehab back into that, it really felt good. And so we did a month of rehab and got back with the doctor, and he said, everything looks good. I mean, it was crazy as it seems. And so I actually did another month of rehab. And so, just doing those 2 months of rehab before I even, started to wrestle and get back on the mat, I think it changed, a lot. I was able to, strengthen some muscles, around the knee and just, give it the support that it needed. Obviously I'm not a, small guy. So, it was a lot to think in. And then also like graduating early, at the end of the day, I kind of wanted to, wrestle, like I said before, I'm not going to get that chance back ever again. And so, I don't regret, not graduating early and going down there. And so I think at the end of the day, I chose the thing that I wanted. I accomplished it. And so, going through that process, it was hard because, it was just like, man, do I hurt my knee more or, whatever. And so, it was super stressful, I guess, just because I was constantly thinking about it, in the room and during practice, I had a brace on and then had, a compression sleeve on. And obviously when I competed too, I had that on. And so, that kind of helped me, I guess, with my mental state, just not thinking about it. But it was obviously still, in the back of my head, like, like this thing, I'm not the same, wrestler that I was, if I'm 100%, but I think that was just our mindset going into it. Is like, okay, I'm wrestling now. It's not an excuse. We got to put that behind us. And so I kind of had to, change my wrestling style up a little bit just because I wasn't able to do, some of the things that I was. And so I think it was just kind of trusting the process, just throughout the whole thing. And in the end, it just, as I continued to wrestle, I just was more comfortable and didn't think about it as much, and so that helped a lot.
So the knee now, do you still need surgery with all that? Like, I feel kind of silly asking this question because you hear a torn ACL and you just assume a surgery is needed. Do you still need to have surgery? And what are you able to do at the moment?
Yeah, so actually I did get surgery March 5th. So I got a total, ACL reconstruction, and then they sewed a part of my meniscus back down. So Wednesday or tomorrow will be 3 weeks. So 3 weeks out of surgery. So rehab's been going good, and it's feeling good.
So I assume you'll be redshirting this first season then as you recover and rehab and do everything else with the knee. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. That is the plan, and just focusing on getting back 100% healthy.
Are you currently enrolled at Nebraska? Or are you still finishing high school?
So yeah, I'm finishing high school. That was the thing, is if I'm going to wrestle, then I can graduate early and go down in May for this summer. So yeah, I'm still in high school, and then just gonna go down in the summer.
Well, obviously, Tyson, it was a very exciting year for you to cap that off and get your fourth title there. It's been a very exciting week for Nebraska wrestling. So I got to ask, is there any chance we'll see you at Nebraska wrestling at all?
It was really exciting to see, the Nebraska wrestling. I kind of grew up wrestling with Antro Taylor. So that was, it was amazing just to see him win a national title. And then Nebraska, they were balling, wrestling just all around. They had 8 All-Americans. And so it was a really, really fun weekend to watch them. But, for me, I think I'm focused on football. I'd be, open to maybe just training in the off season, staying in shape and stuff like that. But I don't look to compete at all.
Talk to me about new defensive line coach Terry Brad and what your interactions with him have been like, and what is your impressions of him at this early stage?
Yeah. I love Coach Brad, and everything that he says. I haven't met him face to face yet. I plan on doing that here soon, these upcoming weeks at a spring practice or something. But one of the first things that he said to me was, we're going to lead the Big Ten in effort, and I think that's kind of a big thing for me. Is only you can control your effort, and so I think everything that he says and everything that he's for, just with his experience. It's just it's amazing. I'm ready to play for him, and so it's kind of just it's been a little different, just kind of getting to build that new relationship with him, just with the relationship that me and Coach Knighton have built over the past 2 years, and so just rebuilding that relationship with him, it's been awesome. He's checked in on me with my surgery and everything during wrestling, and so all my talks and everything with him have been amazing.
So Matt Rule talked about today in the presser, and I'm going to quote him: "I think we're going to have one of the best D lines around." End quote. When you hear Coach Rule say something like that, what's your reaction to that? Do you get excited? Do you what are your thoughts when you hear Coach Rule say something like that about your position group specifically?
No, yeah, it's really exciting, it just because it starts up front, offensive line and defensive line. I think, defensive line, you got to have some physical, nasty dudes up front. And so, just for him to, say that, I just get pumped up, thinking about it. And so, same thing with Coach Rule. He was behind me on wrestling. It was my decision, and so that just earned my just more respect, towards Coach Rule and in our relationship. And so, with him saying that, it's just I'm ready to play for him, ready to play for Coach Brad, and just ready to play for the Huskers.
What it's interesting, Tyson, too, is that, usually when you're a defensive lineman at the Power 5 level, a lot of guys have to redshirt anyway. So, and then, kind of add in the weight room and get get ready to go, get up to kind of that Big Ten type of size and such. Are you kind of embracing that as part of knowing the injury that it was there, is kind of, okay, you know what, this maybe gives me an opportunity to take the most chance that I can to, kind of get Big Ten ready while taking a redshirt year. Some people look at redshirting as a bad thing, or can be frustrating. Obviously, you want to play on the field, but it also can be used as an opportunity to get quite a bit better.
No, yeah, for sure. I think I see it as, an opportunity just to, get back 100%, make sure I'm ready to go. Obviously, get that Big Ten size. And I think for me, I'm excited to just kind of, get in the program, learn about the defense, and just kind of sit back and, have that extra year of just a learning experience. I think it's pretty amazing. Obviously, I would love to go out there and play, as a freshman, but, just with the situation and the injury, I think it's just, focusing on, kind of fine tuning some things and, getting in the weight room and focusing on that. And then just, like I said, just kind of, learn about the defense, being around the coaches and the culture more. And so I think, for me, I'm excited, just to, get down there, but also, I'm going to take this red shirt, with the most, soak in everything. And so, I think that's, the big thing for me is I'll be able to learn, kind of sit back and just, get used to the program, I guess, if that makes any sense.
That makes perfect sense. It's after fall camp, my freshman year, the coaches asked me, I don't know if they cared about what I thought, but they asked me, do you want a red shirt or not? They at least asked me, and I remember chatting with my dad. His answer has stuck with me. He goes, Adam, if you redshirt, you'd be trading your worst season of football. Not that it'd be bad, but your least effective season of football for your best. Basically, when you're the youngest versus an additional season when you're older, bigger, faster, stronger, and smarter. And so that was one of the main reasons. That always stuck with me. That's one of the main reasons I decided to redshirt. And if I'm being honest, there was 3 seniors and 2 juniors in front of me as well. So that might have been a factor too. All right, last question, my man. When it comes to a Nebraska kid, you're from Omaha, playing for the Huskers. There are some folks who don't think it matters as much to today's high school players. There are some that think it matters the same. I get the sense, chatting with you, like you said, I'm ready to play for the Huskers. I get the feeling like it means more to you. What does it mean to you to come play football at the University of Nebraska?
Yeah, it means a lot. Obviously, me growing up and, how, what I've seen with the Huskers, they haven't, been like the 90s or, some, things like that. And, it's always been talk of, getting back there, winning championships. But just growing up, going to some games, when I was younger and just kind of, it was just the Huskers, I guess, and it was like, we don't have any pro teams here, and that's what everybody, is Nebraska football. And so, just being able to, get the opportunity and then, obviously commit and sign and everything like that. It means a lot for me. My family, we come from a big football family. And so, it really does mean a lot. The Huskers, close to home, homegrown, I guess. And so, just playing for the Huskers, it just, like I said, it means a lot. I'm excited. I think, the mentality that, I'm going to bring is what I think Matt Rule is kind of changed, the culture and just kind of the mentality down there. And so, I think it kind of fits well with me and, just ready to go and ready to bang and scrap and, you don't really care, and so, just playing for the Huskers, it means a lot. For me, it's just kind of growing up watching them and, trying to get back to winning those championships.
All right, Tyson, I appreciate you taking the time to join us, and I look forward to seeing you when you get down here to Lincoln.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on.